the notes and minutes afterwards. Could you please in the chat just put down your name, your organization, and your province? Just in one message, that'd be great. Thanks, everybody. So I see people are filling in the chat. That's great. Please introduce yourself with your name, your province, and your organization, if you haven't already done so. And welcome to the people who have just joined and are joining. And also, could I ask those organizations, if you work in more than one province, if you could also just indicate that when you introduce yourself, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, great. It's 10 past. I think there are still some people joining us, but we do have the meeting being recorded. So hopefully people will be able to catch up thereafter. So welcome, everybody. It's great to have you all here and really exciting to be at this the beginning of this process with you. I'm just going to ask Intabi Singh, could I make you a co-host just to help me with bringing people into the room, if you wouldn't mind? Just do that quickly. And if you wouldn't mind just admitting as we go. So we don't have final confirmation, as I said to you in the email, but we are in a very good position. And basically, we've been assured that we've got a very strong proposal, that it's looking very positive. Basically, if we can assure them that we are compliant on all fronts, then they will go ahead with our proposal. So this is very exciting. And obviously the timeframes are not as we originally thought. We are now looking at timeframes which will be from April, most likely starting in April, and definitely till the end of the year, till December, but possibly until next March. So they're actually looking at a full year for the program now. So that's also very exciting. And then, of course, we also have the possibility that this program may be renewed. And I think that's going to depend very much on whether they think that it is successful in working, which, of course, will depend on us. So what I'd like to do is, I know that there are people here who have been part of the process already. You have filled in the forms that we asked you to last year. You were part of the official submission. What has happened in the interim is that in their confirmation process, they've let us know that within the kind of overall picture of the Social Employment Fund, there is some oversubscription in 3 of the provinces. And those provinces are the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, and Limpopo. So they are possibly going to ask us to reduce our numbers in those particular provinces and increase in other provinces. Also, when we put in our application at the end of last year, we did it in such a way that ASSITEJ was taking responsibility for a whole lot of positions. So we have about 80 jobs allocated to our organization, which we can use, but we could also potentially offer those to other organizations. So there is still a little bit of malleability around the numbers, and we're wanting to get to a point where we can be a little bit more certain about how to move forward. So before I get into the nitty-gritty of all of this, perhaps just for those people for whom this is new, perhaps you're coming in for the first time because you've been invited because of this possibility of adding a few more organizations to our consortium. Let me just take us back over what it is that we are doing. So the grant that we are applying for is the Social Employment Fund. You would have heard that our president announced it as part of his State of the Nation address at the opening of Parliament. And so the purpose of the grant is social good. I think one of the things that puts ASSITEJ South Africa as an arts-based organization in a very good position for this grant is that, first of all, our focus is on children and young people and on reaching those children and young people who are often not being reached. So therefore, the arts are being used for social good kind of de facto. And then secondly, that we are already a network organization. And the idea behind the fund is that the fund encourages either very large organizations that can employ a minimum of 1,000 people directly, or as in our case, consortia of organizations come together around a kind of common theme. So our common theme is obviously the arts for children and young people. And we've identified 3 main strands that we are anticipating that your organizations would be involved in and would be able to employ these new employees in getting them involved in these particular areas. So the 3 areas are after-school programs, So arts-based programs that are happening in children's free time, outside of an institution, maybe at a school or at a community center, or you know, in a ECD, but after hours. So part of their after-school programming, their weekend programming. So that's the one modality. The second modality is in school. So some of the organizations are doing work which is in school. For example, ASSITEJ South Africa does our Kickstarter program. We have artists who are going into the school to work alongside teachers on delivering the creative arts program. And there are a number of other organizations that work in a similar way. Sometimes they are engaged with life skills and creative arts. Sometimes they're engaged with other parts of the curriculum. So they are helping children to read, but using the arts or whatever. So something which is inside the school. And then the third strand is actually making work for children and young people, either with professionals or with sometimes perhaps not professionals, but people who are committed to making work for young people, or with children. So we've got a performance strand, an in-school strand, and an after-school strand, essentially. Your organization might want to do all three of these, and that's fine. Or you may know that because of the kind of work that you're doing, you're going to be focusing on one of them. And obviously what we are looking for are organizations who are already doing this. The way the program will work is that ASSITEJ South Africa already has a national database and membership, and we have provincial coordinators in every province. So our provincial coordinators will be involved in the running of the program in that province. And within each province, we have identified lead organizations. So organizations that we feel have a lot of experience. They are potential trainers. So they might, for example, within the program, be given some additional funding in order for them to train other organizations within their province, or perhaps virtually, so it could be across the country. There might be a particular expertise that an organization carries that they are able to share with others. So it's a real opportunity for us to share skills with one another as well. So we've identified certain lead organizations, and often those lead organizations are also organizations who have decided to take on more people. So they are taking sort of 20 to maybe 150 employees within their frame, because they are already well-established organizations with a really great track record. Those organizations, because they're going to be receiving funds directly, need to be 100% compliant according to the IDC's stipulations. So, you know, they would need to have tax clearance certificates, and they need to be able to show annual financial statements for a number of years, etc. They need to be completely compliant organizations. Then we've got a number of other organizations which are sometimes much newer organizations. Maybe they've only just started, or they haven't been in existence for that long, or they have really small capacity. So maybe there's only one person who's employed, or maybe everyone's kind of volunteer and they just work when there's some money that comes in around a project. Or maybe they already have a program running which is kind of taking up a lot of their time, so they don't feel like they can really invest in this program in a huge way, but they would like to take on a small number of employees within their program. So those organizations, the sort of rest of the organizations, would be employing anything between 5, which is the minimum for us, and say 20 people in their program. Now, when we say employing, we are talking about part-time employees, and we're talking about the basic entry-level salary. So it is a standard salary which CEF will be paying, as far as I understand, directly to the people. So in other words, the money is not being it's not being routed either through ASSITEJ or through any of one of the organizations, but rather it's going to go directly to the recipients, which in many ways is great, because it means that it takes out a layer of you know, PT for all of us. But also it will mean that there'll be a lot of work up front in terms of making sure that we've got everybody on board and we've got everybody's information, you know, and that they are able to be added onto the system to receive the funding. So we have to have a minimum of 1,000 people who are at that basic level. And then for every 10 people who are employed in an organization, there will be an additional person who will be at about 150% of the basic minimum wage. And if there are 20 or more, there'll be an additional person who is paid at 170% of the basic minimum wage. And as I said, this is part-time work. This is 2 days a week. So this is not somebody who's employed all the time. One of the arguments that the IDC had around this, or that in fact the whole fund has around this, is the idea that because it's very much aimed at getting people employed who are currently unemployed, that we also wanted to give them sufficient stability to be able to look for other work. So there is freedom to look for additional jobs and to take on other part-time jobs to supplement their income. But if you imagine it within the context of these 3 strands, for us it actually works quite well, because 2 full days a week can work out to 4 afternoons a week in an after-school program, or it can work out to 4 mornings a week working inside schools, or it could work out to, if we are looking at the performance model, it might be a little bit different. We might have several weeks of more intense activity, and then thereafter, you know, a regular performance, but it's only, let's say, 2 hours out of the day that they're actually working, because that's when they do their performance. And so in total, the amount breaks down to the equivalent of 2 days a week. In addition to the structure that I've described, obviously we will also be looking at monitoring and evaluation really, really closely. I think this is one of the great gifts of this project. If we can get this project right, then essentially what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to measure the impact of the arts on the ground in all the different environments within which we work. And, you know, looking at the list of people who are part of the consortium already, and we originally had about 90 organizations. We currently have about 70 who have provided us with all their compliance documents. So, you know, it's a lot of organizations across the country, and they are very diverse. They range from, you know, tiny little organizations in rural areas to organizations that are, you know, very much more resourced and are actually working nationally, not just in one province. I'm just seeing that somebody can't hear me, and I really don't want to be saying all of this for such a long time if people can't hear me. Can I just check that people are hearing?
I can hear you on my side.
Yes.
I can hear you well.
I can hear you this side as well.
Okay. All right, Lita.
I can hear you.
Thank you. I'm so relieved. I would hate to have, yeah, I would hate to have been carrying on forever and you wouldn't hear. So, Lita, I don't know if the problem's on your side. Maybe you can just check your computer there. And also, if you're in the offices, Lita, maybe you can find the speaker on my desk. That might be helpful to you. Maybe that'll increase the volume. Okay, so as I said, that within this project there is also the capacity to a certain extent for training. It's not going to be extensive training all the way through, but we're looking at an intensive period of training at the beginning of the program. We're looking at then some more training sort of midway through the program. And obviously that training is going to be very much dependent on what people need, you know, what the skills are, and also what people have to offer. So I'll give you, just an example. We've got, organizations that are really skilled in terms of arts for therapeutic, the therapeutic value of the arts. So, if people were to say this is something that our organization would really benefit from, and this is something that our employees would really benefit from, then that could be something that we link you to. So we're going to need to do a bit of a mapping exercise, essentially, around, what are the skills that are needed, and then what are the skills that we have within the consortium. And then trying to match people as much as possible. Some of the training will be done online, and some of the training will be done in person. One of the other things that we're really hoping to do is to strengthen the provincial and regional kind of sense of community. So to link up organizations who are maybe working in similar areas, and for them to look for synergies. So, we feel like there are a lot of exciting opportunities within this frame for supporting the work that many of you are doing already, or for allowing your impact to go deeper, go further. Yeah, I think that's where I want to leave just the description of the whole program at this point, and just ask whether there are any questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself or to put a question into the chat.
Hi, Yvette, I have a question.
Yes, hi, Lorraine.
How broad is the scope of actual activities in terms of arts genres? Is it specifically for theatre, or can it be activities that support the kind of the execution of theatre or productions, those kinds of things?
The main thing is that the focus needs to be on children and young people, but it does not have to be theatre. Although our organisation is largely focused on theatre and live performance, when we work in our Kickstarter program, for example, we are working with the creative arts curriculum, which is, all the art forms. So we do have organizations here who are visual arts organizations, literacy organizations, organizations that are working in circus. So it's very open. Phyllis, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, sorry if you mentioned this, Yvette, but my internet was playing havoc. What is the minimum wage that you've been talking about? Okay, and how much does each organization get for the administration and the work put in?
So the minimum wage is worked out at 21 Rand 69 an hour. Which, so if you, what is that a day? 8 hours times 21 Rand, I mean, it's about 160 Rand, 170 Rand, around there. And so it would be for 2 days a week. For, at this stage, they're saying anything from 9 months to a year. And then, as I said, so if you are taking on more employees than, for every 10 people that you take on, you get somebody who's being paid at 150% of that. And then for every 20 people who you take on, you are paid, you get a person who's being paid at 170% of that. So the way we're seeing those people is that they are kind of team leaders and monitoring and evaluation people who would essentially ensure that the work is happening, or they could be some sort of a project lead. So they could be a director of a production or something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'd love our teachers to work on this, but they're getting nearly 300 Rand an hour. 35 teachers across Gauteng, so they're not going to work for that. So I'm trying to see who's going to work for that. Maybe students, or I'm not sure who will work for that.
Yeah, so
for that amount. Yeah.
This is very much a program to provide employment to those who are unemployed. So it's not for those who are already employed and for whom you've already got funding. And, you know, you could potentially, if they're not working full time for you, there might be a way to wangle it. But, you know, ideally there are people who you have not employed before, or that you have, so in other words, they've been volunteering their services before, or they have, they haven't been employed in full-time capacity, and yeah, they're willing to work at that.
Yeah, all of these teachers are actually part-time or on very short-term contracts. So I was thinking so that they would get work extended throughout the year, but I don't know. We'd have to rethink this considerably. Maybe do a production with students. Or what is the minimum age level?
There is no well, 18. So they need to be, they need to be out of school. They need to be able to be employed. Right. But there isn't a maximum age level. It's not a youth employment act, although obviously, you know, youth employment is a huge issue. But there is another similar kind of a funding model at the moment, which is only for youth employment. And this one is not aimed specifically at youth. So it can be people of any age.
Okay, thanks, Yvette. Thank you.
Sure. Stuart?
Hi, Yvette. Firstly, thanks so much for getting it this far. It's very exciting. Been here since I think the beginning of it, so it's really great to see it having got this far. So first of all, congrats on that. And then I just wanted to pick up on Phyllis's last question, which I think you partly answered in the sense of sort of the administrative costs that obviously go with managing a group of 10, 20 people. Like, let's say, for example, we have less than 10 people. If we've got 8 people, for example, then would all those sort of HR management costs need to be absorbed by the organization? So there's nothing additional that comes to the organization to manage those people, because obviously, as we all know, managing large groups of people can be quite sort of tedious and time consuming.
Yeah, there isn't anything that comes for management of people, but what there is for the lead organizations is potential training fees. So in other words, if Lunchbox or Sabiqua is training other organizations, they would get paid to do that training. And that would be a source of income which they could use in whatever way that they needed. Where organizations don't have capacity, that's where we're seeing our provincial coordinators jumping in. So our provincial coordinators will be working with the organizations very closely and providing, you know, a lot of monitoring and evaluation support, as well as training ongoingly.
Right. Okay. So we see then obviously the benefit of having additional people working on our projects as the ultimate benefit of it, and then we absorb whatever other costs are going to need to be associated with using existing members to manage, etc. Cool. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So you will have seen in the email that you received, for those of you who did receive that email, because some of you have come in through a different route, but for those of you who received the email who've been part of the consortium from last year, there are a couple of things that some of you are still needing to do, which is to update your membership, because everybody needs to be a member of ASSITEJ in order to be part of the consortium. So make sure that your membership is current, that you paid for your membership for this year. Then the second thing is to get yourself onto the Theatre for Youth database. So we want to have all the organizations on the Theatre for Youth database. Some organizations I know will maybe have, it'll be a little harder for them to find the fit. So the way the Theatre for Youth database works is that it's generally theatre companies and then facilitators and schools. So those are the kind of choices that you have as to how you position yourself within that database. I would say that there are organizations, I got a question from Butterfly Arts, and I don't know whether they're here now, but they were wanting to know where to put themselves. So Butterfly Arts is a visual arts organization, and they would facilitate visual arts workshops for children and young people. They would also train teachers. But I'm assuming that the main work that they'd be doing through this program would be the working with the children directly. So they would then put themselves into the artist facilitator part of the Theatre for Youth database. They're not exactly a theatre company, but they are facilitating arts processes. If you're not certain about how to position yourself, please just reach out to us and we can think about it and sort of work out how to make most sense. But we're really wanting to use that as a kind of a snapshot of the whole project. Like, this is what everybody's doing, this is where everybody is. And it'll also make it easier for you to then connect with the schools that you could be taking your work to, because that's the function of the Theatre for Youth database. It basically connects schools and organizations. And if you're in the back end of it, so not in the front end, you will see all those schools and you'll get access to all the contact details and the relevant people and information about the schools and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a whole lot of things that you can do. In terms of checking your membership status, Intateng, who is in the room, I hope, yes, Intateng, maybe just say hi for a second, Intateng.
Hi everyone. Yes, in terms of membership status, I am going through our system that is managing the membership, and currently I have been going through a number of people, and I was hoping I would get this portfolio, this platform actually to say that we have people that have registered for membership at some point and they've paid for membership, and now when the membership was paid in November last year, for example, it will, so for example, if it's an annual membership for an individual or an organization, it will then expire on the 21st of November 2022. So what I was hoping to say here is that when you do your membership, or when you do pay your membership fees, if you can use the correct reference number, because we struggle if it's the name of the person or the company, so we struggle a bit to know who has paid. So the membership status, if you know that you've paid the membership status last year, membership fees last year, you will know at what point you paid, and then you will know that it expires at this point. Because if it's an annual membership and you paid it in March, then it will expire in March this year. So there's that. So I've been struggling to do that, to find out who has paid, who has not paid, and who is eligible, who is not. Because once a membership expires, then that means you need to pay membership fees. So I do not know if, and I know people do change in organizations, but it would be nice if you can know when last you paid membership fees, then you will know whether membership status is still valid or if you need to pay again. So yeah, I think that's all, and you can ask any questions if there are any.
Thanks, Intateng. And Intateng's email address is operations@assitej.org.za. Ali put in office@assitej, but that's an old address, so it's operations, just to be clear about that. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to send them to her. Otherwise, I mean, the simple way, if you know that you either aren't a member or that you haven't renewed your membership fees recently, you could just go to the Join Us page on our website and either just update your membership form or send us a membership form and then make the payment. If you are not in a position to make a payment and that's going to be a barrier for you, please talk to us, because as you know, we also have the volunteer option. But obviously we would also really appreciate the membership fee payment. So
yeah, and just to say, Yvette,
yes,
that when Temba sends out the invoices, it always has an invoice number. So that's the best way to put that in, because he can be able to track it.
Great, thank you. All right, so what I would like us to do now is I have created some breakout rooms. I'm not certain, oh, wait a second. I'm just seeing if there's anybody else who wants to ask a question. I'm not certain if we've got people from all the breakout rooms, but let's see, because basically what I'm going to ask you to do is you should be able to assign yourself to a breakout room according to your province. All the provinces are there apart from Gauteng, because I have a suspicion that Gauteng is the most number of organizations, and those organizations will just stay in this room. You won't go to a breakout room. So that'll also help the recording, so there'll be something which will be continued to be recorded while while some people go to the breakout rooms. Can I also just check, so can I ask the staff not to allocate themselves yet, but if I could ask everybody else to assign themselves. So you would go down to the bottom where it says, I think it says more, and then you'd click on breakout rooms. Or do I need to open the rooms first? I think I've opened them.
You need to open them.
Yeah. So now you should be able to assign yourself to your province. So just join the one that is relevant. Is everybody seeing that?
Right at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, so go down the list and then you should see Western Cape, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, Limpopo, etc.
How much time do people have in the breakout rooms?
We're going to have about 15 minutes, but
Okay.
people aren't seeing the options. That's weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait, I'm not seeing the option of selecting the breakaway room.
When you go right to the bottom,
No, it's not here as well. I'm not seeing it.
I'm also not seeing it.
is anybody seeing it?
Also not seeing it?
No.
I don't know what to do because I've created them and I'm opening them and they should be there.
They should, because you've always been so good with breakout rooms.
Still not. You're still not seeing them.
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
No.
all right. I don't know what's happening there. We have just a little bit of a technical glitch. Then I think that we're just going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this in one room, and it might just take a little bit longer. So can I ask? Let's just see. How many people do we have from KZN?
My hand up.
Just put your hands up if you're from KZN. So use a reaction.
Sorry, I'm not from KZN. I'm lowering it.
Okay, so I'm just seeing Pauline. None of the other KZN people come. Okay. All right. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you who is currently part of a consortium from that province. And because one of the things that we need to discuss is whether there are people who are missing, who we need to invite, and whether you are aware of any other potential partners that we could be reaching out to. So I'll start with KZN. So Pauline is our KZN coordinator. Pauline, do you want to just say hi to everybody for a moment?
Hi, everybody from a warm and sunny Durban. Hope everyone's doing well.
Thanks, Pauline. So the lead organization in KZN is KCAP. Then other organizations are Kwamashi School of Dance Theatre, Maise Productions, Drama Mama Community Arts, Creative Children's Arts Team, NPC, Imbiza Performing Arts, and Wentworth Community Arts. I feel like KZN is one of the provinces that we could potentially be finding more members in. At the moment, what that amounts to in terms of numbers of people is it's about 110 people being employed from KZN. And I think that there's potentially quite a lot more capacity there. Do we have anybody from Limpopo here? Just raise your hand if you, yeah, I thought I saw Kagiso. Kagiso, are you based in Gauteng at the moment or Limpopo?
For the organization, it's in Limpopo, yes, we're in Limpopo, but we are spreading our wings into Gauteng as well.
Okay, so, and Ketemetsi, great. So Kate, at the moment in terms of Limpopo, we've been told that Limpopo is quite oversubscribed, but at the moment we've got one organization that has a lot of people. Oh, David, I thought I saw David here as well. Is David Letswalo here? Oh no, it's David Maklaba. Okay, so we've only got Ketemetsi and Kagiso here. So the organizations that we've got from Limpopo are Arts for Life Projects, Hermantima, Twaranang Youth and Community Development, and Charismatic Rhythms, which is Kagiso's organization. So I don't know that we're necessarily looking for more organizations there, but if there is, we could maybe, I mean, if there was one, we could maybe accommodate one more. We're not going to be able to accommodate a great deal more than that. Then let's go to Free State. Who do we have here from Free State? Jeff, are you not semi-Free State? I know you're in Eastern Cape as well. Oh yeah, you did put your hand up, yeah. Okay, so we've got, so according to people who've been who have put themselves forward for the consortium, we've got Bokang Lefoko Theatre, which is in Mangaung. We've got Sechametsi Children Performing Arts After School Program, which is Charmaine Morebi. We've got Me For You, Talented Productions, Tabo Mabasa. We've got Scorba Yackles, Shaka September. And then we've got Jeff, we've got You, which is Penem Productions, which is partially in Eastern Cape and partially in Free State. The Free State coordinator is Styx Mokajani. Is Styx here? Okay. So I don't know whether anyone's got any connections into additional organizations in the Free State, but we could definitely grow a bit in the Free State. We are relatively small there at the moment. I think we're about 40 or so. Eastern Cape. Now, Eastern Cape, there are, so we've been told that Eastern Cape, we might need to reduce the numbers. But the positive thing about Eastern Cape is that one of our biggest organizations is the National Arts Festival, which came in with 150 people. And it looks like they're going to be getting their own social employment fund grant separate to this one. So if that is the case, then I think that the organizations that are left, and potentially one or two more, would be okay as in terms of the numbers in the Eastern Cape, because they were really the biggest organization. So the organizations we've got currently in the Eastern Cape are in Clancy Creative Development, Merrin, the Black Power Station, Kolile, Adinda, Ubom, I think Gary's here, and then Penem Productions, which is Jeff in Willowmore, and then National Arts Festival, which, as I say, will probably either reduce completely or reduce quite substantially. Are there any other people in in Eastern Cape here?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I don't know how to put the hand up.
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks, Nadine. And you are in Hogsback, right?
Correct. But yeah, we work in the Chumi Valley, which is about a 30k stretch between Hogsback and the town of Alice.
Great. Okay, that's really good. And welcome. Glad that you could make it today. Masikole? You want to, yeah, I know you're in the Eastern Cape. Do you want to say something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm in the Eastern Cape also, and we've been working with a couple of schools this side with the guys that I've been working with, and we've been creating projects that are independently of our own. That's all I can say at this moment.
Great, thank you. And you are, I mean, you're currently based in Makanda, right? But
yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. And then Amphi Arts.
It's me, it's Bandisi. We just basically the ones who mostly linking up with all the independent artists basically in Grahamstown. So we are the ones who brought some of the organizations also. So we're still small also, but we have links and connections to other organizations also. Yeah, but we based in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
But we also have a linkage in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah, so you're one of the organizations that's currently kind of sitting across provinces. There aren't a lot of them, but there are a few.
Yes, we one of them. Yes. And we're the one who brought the Black Power Station and other organizations also.
Great. Thanks, Mandisi. And then Delara.
I'm with UBAM, and we are planning on rolling out the Makanda Drama Development Festival towards the end of the year, and we're planning on working with about 20 schools in the area around Makanda. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you and Gary are working together.
Yes.
Great. And then Jeff, your hand is still up. Did you want to say something else?
Yes, I just want to say, in the initial conversations with Shaka and Penem, there was a group of Shaka's performers with him that was supposed to be part of the Penem Productions venture in the Free State. So if he enrolled on behalf of his own company, then we might cut down, say, for instance, on 10 of our members.
Right.
If he's, yeah, awesome. Just wanted to say that.
Okay, so that's good to know. So there may be an overlap there. And then I saw that you were putting in Chimay Puppetryx. And I was under the impression, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that she was coming in with you, with Penem, or was she wanting to come in separately?
We did not talk about it, but I can talk to her and then we can get back to you. That is fine. Okay.
All right. Annie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there. Let's just check that Chumay isn't part of Skobeljas, Shaka's. I think there was a plan to work there together. But yeah, we just have to check those numbers.
Yeah, because we obviously don't want to be in a situation where we think we've got a certain number and then we actually find that people are doubling up and, you know, yeah, that won't work. All right, so Eastern Cape we've spoken about, Free State, or I'm leaving Gauteng, I know it's the biggest one. Can we go to, is there anyone from Mpumalanga here?
Just on a Mpumalanga note, PJ from FATSI Forgotten Angle sends his apologies. He's just said they're way too busy at the moment, but he would listen to the recording.
Okay. Yeah, so at the moment we don't really have, we had some interest from Mpumalanga, but then people never submitted their documentation in time. So basically we don't have anybody who is definitely signed up from Mpumalanga at this point. You know, FATSI has indicated interest, but they haven't actually given us their forms yet. And that is something, so if you are one of the people who is coming into this conversation new, then please be aware of the fact that we are going to be needing to get some documentation from you. First of all, a basic form, which I will show you at the end of the meeting, so that those people who've already filled out the form don't necessarily have to stay for that. But anybody who wants to find out, you know, about filling in the form can get more information. All right, so we've done Mpumalanga. Northwest, is there anyone here from Northwest? Yes. Sister Boss?
Hi everyone. My name is Sister Boss. My actual name is Chipela, but everybody knows me by Sister Boss. I was invited by Tembile. He sent me a link yesterday. I'm pretty much new into this conversation, so I think I do need the document, the registration. I work in housing and partially in Northwest. And I also know a pool of organizations from Northwest that I can invite on board if you need me to do so.
Great, because Northwest is in a similar position to Mpumalanga. So we had a lot of interest from Northwest originally. Our coordinator in Northwest is Tieho Shametia, and there was a lot of interest, but then nobody submitted their forms in time. So according to the Social Employment Fund at this point, ASSITEJ has committed to employing some people in Northwest, but we don't have a separate organization based there. So it'd be really great to get you on board and to get your contacts also, you know, for these other people. That'd be really good.
All right, I will do so. Thank you.
Thanks. Phyllis?
I might be able to help you with Northwest. Let me do some investigation and I could bring in 1 or 2 organizations for you.
Great, thank you so much, Phyllis. And then Northern Cape, we've got already committed Amanda Danza Teatro. We've got UPT, Youth Development, NPC, which is also called Masakane Art Center. That's Okado Chulu. And those are in fact the only 2 organizations that are committed in the Northern Cape. Are there any other Northern Cape people here? Lorraine?
Yes, I mean, we are registered in the Western Cape, but we've done a lot of work in the Northern Cape because we only moved over the provincial border a couple of years ago back to the Western Cape. But I do have a few organizations, small organizations that I think may well be interested.
Wonderful. Okay, so if you could, yeah, just follow up on that and let me know, that would be great. And then,
yeah.
Peter, are you able to unmute yourself?
Good day, guys. My name is Peter. Surname is Aaron, and I'm based in the Northern Cape in Kimberley. I'm also the same as the previous speaker who was invited. So I saw someone posting on our group and then saying there's something like this going on. So I'm, yeah, first time I get involved in this. So I just came for information and see what are you guys up to.
Okay, great. And what do you do, Peter? What is your organization called?
My organization, I have a sound and stage company, basically doing live music, entertainment, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And do you work with or for children and young people at all?
In the, yeah, that is now in my 9 to 5. I work for an organization called the Field Band Foundation.
Oh yeah.
It is an after-school program. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we are operating in, our footprint is very large. operate in Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape. So we are all over basically.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the Field Band Foundation would obviously be a great organization to get involved there, but they are really large. So yeah, we'd need to probably need to speak to whoever is heading up the Field Band at the moment. I don't know who is that person.
Sorry, come again, I lost you there.
So who would we need to speak to if we were going to go to the Field Band Foundation as an entire entity, as a national entity?
There's two people one can speak to, but I think the CEO was Nikki Duplessis, or the national operations manager was Shama Cherria.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll check in with Nikki then and see what she says. But thanks very much for that, Peter. Okay, and then we've got Western Cape. So Western Cape projects are Butterfly Art Project, which I've mentioned a few times, Jungle Theatre, Indorni Arts and Leadership Academy, Ubuntu Theatre Arts, Dance for All, Lunchbox Theatre, Amphi Arts, Kwela Community-Based Organization, Ayan Chachane for the Little Ones, Early Childhood Development Project, Ubuntu Producties, the Compass Trust, Bakama Trust, True North Consulting, and Unimar South Africa. So there are quite a lot of Western Cape organizations, as you can hear. And are there any other Western Cape people here who are not included in that list? Mfundo, do you want to go?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Yvette. It's nice to be here. It's good to be here. Good things are starting to happen after the pandemic. Thank you. No, I've just have my own baby now, just is in business. It's called Uyilo Arts Academy, whereby we also teach young kids storytelling. We do puppetry, we do theater, and also we hold small workshops, drama trainings, and also script writing.
Mfundo, do you spell Uyilo like that? U-Y-I-L-O?
It's U-Y-I-L-O, yes.
Yeah.
Uyilo, yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
That's what we do, thank you.
And where are you doing this?
No, we're doing this between Fuleni in Cape Town and Khayelitsha, between two townships in Fuleni and Khayelitsha.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to introduce these programs to the kind of primary schools, but we haven't worked with any primary school yet because it's sports and teachers are busy with sports. So they said they will attend to us after they're done or finish with sports. Thank you.
Okay. And then Babalwa, I see you just put in the notes, the Amatunzi Arts and Development Center, Khayelitsha. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that organization?
Yes, thank you so much, Yvette. Thank you so much. I'm Babalo Menkis, and I'm based here in Cape Town in Khayelitsha. So we basically do the similar stuff as Mfundo mentioned around Khayelitsha. We work with schools and other organizations as well. We're fairly new, that's why we're here today.
Great. Thank you very much. And then Mark, you want to just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing?
Hi, Vet. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invitation by Gerda. Yeah, I'm in the Riebeek Valley, a rural area out in the Western Cape. We're also very new. For Life Centre actually opened its doors only beginning of last week. Basically, what we are is a community performing arts program, which has become formalized at the centre, where we offer all kinds of performing arts training and theatre technical training, mostly to young people. We're also affiliated to the Royal Artstown Amphitheatre in Riebeek West, which I run. So we identify people from communities to train as, for example, theatre technicians, and then they go on to staff the productions which we produce there.
Fantastic, thank you. And then I see Katlejo's put in the chat Lesedi Latuto Arts Interactive. Where are you based, Katlejo?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Katlego Menchu over here, the founder and executive director of Liselida Tuto Arts Interactive. We are based in New Crossroads, Nyanga, and somewhere in Delft. We provide music, dance, drama, and poetry to just literally everyone that is in the bracket of being youth.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then Tando, you've also just put the name of your organization, Liyaka South Africa Youth and Community Organization. Do you want to just tell everybody a little bit about what you have done? Tando Kolo? Jabesi? Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, we'll come back to Tando, just aware of time. So moving on to Gauteng then, which is the other big province, obviously, with a lot of organizations. We've got Wellborn Theatre, ARC Soweto, who's here, Drama for Life, Africa Culture First, which is Kanisa Segwanda's organization, Young Minds Arts Projects, Nontebo Tau, that's in the West Rand, Pinda Mazala, which I think is David Maklaba, who's here, Sabikwa, and Phyllis is here from Sabikwa. I'm standing in for Karen. Lafika Lapadiso, moving into dance. Lule Productions, which is Relebohile Mabundo. We have the Windybrow Arts Center, the Market Theatre Laboratory, Zikazimba, Friendly Drummers, Orange Farm Dance Theatre, Upraise a Child, MPC, Flying House, and South African Dance Alliance, which is in fact a national organization with particular representation at the moment in Western Cape, Northern Cape, KZN, and Gauteng, but also obviously their home office is Gauteng. Then Let's Play Children's Theatre, which is Sizwe Vilakazi in Soweto, Sketch Productions, which is Paul Noko in Soweto, Old Theatre Productions, which is Letlokonolo Riba in Tshwane. So is there anybody here who I haven't mentioned who should have been, who should be mentioned, or who would like to introduce themselves? Yes.
Hi, Yvette.
Hi.
Hi, sorry everyone. So I wasn't actually aware when the first call came out. I only saw this in an email, I think recently, a day ago. So I work for Nalibuka Moso, and we are basically an organization that deals with science through dance, but also mathematics and using arts across the curriculum. At the moment, our organization works with partners. So we work with Saibono, so which means we can have a bigger reach of different children, of different ranges of children for their different programs, Science Week, Transport Week, you name it, all of these festivities that Saibono has. So we are normally partnering with them. We have SciFirst. They've recently just gone virtual due to COVID, but that was one of our biggest partners, and would go to Grahamstown and run some workshops on how science concepts can be disseminated through the arts. Our other partner is Scienza at UP. So our company very much has up to this point dealt with the academic level of working with centers and coming in as a different language to embody the subject of the sciences, or the math algorithms, challenging this nature culture binary. And we also have worked, or we are working with universities and different departments within universities. So for an example, our research project has been working with PhD candidates in early childhood who are looking at the mind-body dualism. And we've run workshops for them that they can use to implement in their teaching in schools. So it's mainly been on a training level, as well as working with centers. We have not received any funding in our company. We don't have the kind of experience where we've gotten funding directly from big organizations, because we've worked on partnerships with various organizations. However, that being said, our recent collaboration was with NetBank, which was then able to create content for children across the country for over about 1,000 children free of charge on WhatsApp. So I'm just giving you a context of sort of where our work is, and how we're thinking about ways in which we could be involved in the project. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here who would like to just introduce themselves? I see Anne here from Play Africa. Do you want to say anything, Anne, about Play Africa briefly?
Hi, thank you. Hi, everybody. So we've worked with ASSITEJ. We're a children's museum at Constitution Hill, but we've worked predominantly with ASSITEJ before in our storytelling program, and we're passionate and we love bringing storytelling to children, either in their communities or at Constitution Hill. And we had to do a whole lot of virtual stuff during lockdown, but we're quite keen to bring it back to kids in a real world space.
Yes, so we. Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Anne. Is there anybody else who we haven't heard from? I see Tunokwe here. Tunokwe, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do? I know you've done a lot of extensive work with children.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I was hoping that I'll be able to hide. Oh, greetings everyone, so glad to be here. Well, I work with Amajiga Arts and Life under the auspices of the Nokwe Creative Development Foundation. At the moment here in Joburg, we work from a house that I donated to the community. So we only do 2 days a week for now because we have no funding. It's all arts and life skills and personal, what do you call that? Self-management program. Yeah, that's it. Actually, that's I think that's the best way I can put it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay.
And then I see that Tandor, who hasn't been able to unmute himself, has been telling us about his project in the chat. He's been saying this is back in the Western Cape, Kuils River, arts-based organization in Korkfontein Township, working with youth and children between the age of 11 and 21 on drama, storytelling, music, and self-development sessions into township festivals. And it's an afternoon, and I'm not sure if you're saying afternoon and school-based or afternoon after school program. I'm not totally certain about that, but yeah, that's sounds, you know, very much in the area of what we're looking for, right? So I think that we've heard from everybody who's in the room. As far as what the next steps are, so for those of you whose names I mentioned and who you know, were part of the original submission, you need to check whether you have done those additional compliance things in terms of your membership, in terms of the Theatre for Youth, registration, and you also need to check your numbers. So you gave us a number, so maybe like if we go back to Jeff's example, Penem Productions originally said they were going to employ 63 people. Maybe now on, you know, reflection, 63 is feeling too much or whatever it is, and maybe you need to reduce that number. We need to get a really accurate now estimate of how many people you think you could employ at this rate, right? And remember, the minimum is 5. And if 5 is what you can handle, don't go bigger than 5, really. I would rather have, you know, you working with what is really going to be kind of manageable for you. But particularly if you are in some of the provinces that are less subscribed, it will be great if you are able to go more, and we've got a little bit of flexibility that we can work with. But please try and be as accurate as possible. So if you could let us know that. If you know that now, then could I ask you please to put your numbers in the chat again, and we can then say that information. Otherwise, we will be following up with you by email for you to give us that information again, just to check so that we're able to do our final calculations. Obviously, the numbers directly impact on the budget and on everything, basically, on the way this whole project is organized, on how many people we have to employ in Gauteng in order to look after the number of people who are going to be, you know, working in the project, etc., etc. So that's the main things that those people who have been part of the CEF program already and who've been, you know, part of this whole process of application need to be worried about. What else I can tell you is that we are doing some compliance things. If you are a lead organization, and I'm going to read the lead organizations just once more, just to be clear about who they are. So they are at the moment, UBAM, National Arts Festival, Well-Worn, Drama for Life, Sabiqua, Lafika, Moving into Dance, Wendy Brow, Market Theatre Lab, Flying House, K-Cap, Charismatic Rhythms, Amanda Danza Teatro, Butterfly Art, Jungle Theatre, Lunchbox Theatre, Amphi Arts. So those are the lead organizations that we have identified so far. Those are organizations that we may ask to provide some training and who are also committing to larger numbers of people. So therefore they need to get more support in terms of those additional administrative people that we spoke about earlier. And I'm seeing another message here from Isaac Mohale that he's struggling. He's working with learners within one of the local schools under what we call his Room 13 Art Project, specializing with visual arts. We're about 2 from the Free State and Mpumalanga. Okay, thank you for that, Isaac. Welcome, and really glad that you're here. I've heard about the Room 13 Art Project, so it's great that that you came today. And what I'm going to ask is that those people who have not been part of this conversation before, if you wouldn't mind just staying on, and the people who perhaps have been part of the the whole process, you don't need to. If you would like to, you're welcome to. I'm not sending you away. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the form that you will need to fill in order to become officially part of the program, and also talk a little bit about compliance and the compliance things that we're going to need to get from you. And there are ways to get around that. So if you feel that you want to be able to take on, let's say, 5 people, but you know that your organization doesn't meet the compliance criteria of IDC, what we can do is we can put you under ASSITEJ. So in other words, ASSITEJ will be the nominal employer. You will still run your program as you run your program, but they will be kind of on our salary list, if you like. So we can work that way. Obviously, there will be conversations to be had around monitoring and evaluation, etc. But it's really a way of accommodating those people who would really like to be part of the program and really get the support, but maybe they don't have the necessary things in place to be as compliant as they need to be. So thank you, everybody. Those people who would like to stay on so we can look at the form, please do. And that's what I'm going to go on to now, unless there are any further questions. Oh, I see one person who hasn't been able to say anything yet. Soulless to Black. You've been coming in and out. I think you've been having trouble with your connection. Do you want to just share? I don't know whether you're able to in the chat, because I see you don't have, probably not hearing me either. Doesn't seem to have sound set up. And then also, can I just ask, who's Zoom user? Zoom user, are you able to identify yourself? Isaac, yes. Can you unmute yourself, Isaac? You put your hand up. I'm not hearing you. Okay. All right, I'm going to go on to the form. So I'm going to just show you the form that we need to submit to SEF. I don't know if you can see that. This is an example of one of the partners. So what is the main purpose of your partner? Now, the way this form is worded is a bit confusing. And so for some people, when they answered the form, they answered it incorrectly because they thought they were talking about ASSITEJ, like we were the partner. But actually this form is meant to be filled in by ASSITEJ, but we don't necessarily know all this information about you. So you need to write it in the third person, if you know what I mean. So you're writing about yourself. So when we say what is the main purpose of your partner, it actually means what is your main purpose, right? And not more than 100 words. So we need a 100-word summary of that. Then we need a precise and concise history of the organization. So how did this organization come into being? You know, what are the main things that you've done? Just very concise. Then why do you want to work with this partner? Now, again, this is a question to us, but because we don't necessarily know enough about you, we need you to tell us that we can rephrase it. So I'll give you an example here. So ASSITEJ SA has worked with Ubuntu Dance Theatre Arts in various small-scale festivals, including the ASSITEJ South Africa Frekwan Family Festival, where they performed their work. We're aware of their programs and their training of unemployed youth. They have a strong history of engagement in communities. They're a grassroots organization doing important work in Mitchell's Plain and Tafelsig. Ubuntu Dance Theatre intends to work with 20 people over a 9-month period to focus on 3 social issues: xenophobia, bullying, and democracy in Africa. This cohort of people is a group of unemployed youth with whom they have previously worked. They want to divide the 9 months into 3 phases. In each phase, the participants will be exposed to high quality learning from professional arts practitioners who will share their knowledge on a voluntary basis, etc. So this is basically describing what they want to do. But when Ubuntu Arts sent this, they just sent us what they wanted to do. They said, Ubuntu Dance Theatre wants to work with 20 people over 9 months and do X, Y, and Z. And they said things like, we're a grassroots organization doing important work in Mitchell's Plain, etc. And we then took that information and we reshaped it. If there's something that you feel is a good reason for us to work with you, please include it in this section. You know, I mean, Tandiwe, for example, you just happen to be, your videos are on right beneath me. So obviously the fact that we've been working on arts as method before is a really strong reason for us to include you in this project, because we already have a working relationship. You know, it's not a new thing. So we would talk about that. But also if you can think of any other reasons, you know, that it would be a strong reason to partner, that's what you need to give us. And then you need to give us information about 2 projects. So we need to get a
quick question, Yvette, before you go on.
Yeah.
Can I just for my own clarity, do we know how many people are part of this consortium, or are we only bringing people in now? And also, I just want to check in terms of, I realized that you received information from different people when you're doing the proposal. So in terms of reporting, the people reporting to ASSITEJ, and then ASSITEJ is going to develop a bigger a bigger report that will be sent to the funder, or are people sending different things to the funder? And also, do we have, is ASSITEJ a lead organization, or do we have leads organizations in different provinces?
Okay, so I'll try and answer all of those questions. So we have currently, as I said, about 70 members who are already part of this project, and they are here, and these are their numbers, and these are the names that I was reading out earlier. So these are the people who have already committed to being part of the project. When we started working on this, this proposal last year, these are the people who came forward. There are some people who were part of that process, who started to work on that form, for example, who didn't complete the form in time, and who didn't send us the additional information that we required from them in order for them to be compliant. So those people, we are giving, there's like a little window of opportunity now to take on them or new people in order to increase our numbers. Not so much increase, but because we've got some flexibility, because we're going to have 150 people less probably from the Eastern Cape, for example, we've got 150 places now available that other organizations could take up in other parts of the country, right? Okay. And then because we have, we also need to reduce the numbers in Western Cape as well, We'll probably keep all the organizations, but they'll have to take on fewer people. So again, there'll be more space elsewhere. So this is why we're saying to new organizations, you can still come in at this point. But having said that, what I'm saying to the new organizations is you've got to be really on the ball, right? It was a mission last year to get the information from people. We had to chase, we had to follow up, we had to rewrite people's submissions. It was just, you know, a little bit of a nightmare. So we're really going to give priority to those people who want to be part of this project and who respond timeously and quickly, you know, and in full with everything that we need from them. Because basically this window that we've got is really only probably like a week or 2 weeks. And then we're going to need to be finalized because we will be starting with the program from the beginning of April, hopefully. Then in addition to what you were saying about monitoring and evaluation. So yes, ASSITEJ South Africa, it's an ASSITEJ South Africa consortium. We are the lead partner. The lead partner, as the lead partner, we have to provide the final reports, etc. on this program. However, within each province, we have a provincial coordinator who's working with certain lead organizations. Those lead organizations will help with the monitoring and evaluation and the training in those provinces. There will be 2 sources of monitoring and evaluation. The one will be directly to the IDC through what they're calling their solution, which is a phone-based app, I guess, that people who are employed through this program will be needing to give information to on a regular basis in order to receive their salary. However, in addition to that, we'll be doing monitoring and evaluation visits. We'll be, you know, seeing the program. We'll be doing like a baseline, a middle term, and an end of the program kind of assessment. So yeah, so there's monitoring and evaluation on both levels. Did I leave anything out of your questions?
No, I got that. Thank you. You've answered them all.
Thanks. Lorraine, you want to ask something?
Yes, so I'm wanting to understand what kind of numbers are you looking to get for the Northern Cape? What is the goal there?
Look, at the moment in the Northern Cape, we have only we have 16. And I mean, I don't think that I don't think it needs to be a lot larger, but it would be great to get maybe, since we've only got 2 organizations in the Northern Cape, it'd be great to get maybe another 2 or 3 organizations on board, even if they each came in with 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking there are 3 different organizations that I can approach. One is in Olifantshoek, one is in Warrenton, and one is in Kuruman.
Great.
And I think this might be appealing to them, but I'm thinking they will probably likely want to go under ASSITEJ.
That's okay.
So what I would like to do is I'm gonna chat to them individually, and I'm gonna see if I can just start a WhatsApp group. And then if I can just add whoever from ASSITEJ onto that group, and they can carry on with the information, because I don't think I can facilitate further than that, but I do have some strong candidate organizations that I think would be great.
Great, thank you very much. That'd be lovely. So just to go back to this form, because we didn't quite finish talking about it. No, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Sorry, let me just go to the right thing. Yeah, I think it's this one. So the last part of the form is the relevant track record. So you need to identify 2 of your projects and then give us this very specific information: the name of the project, implementation dates, location, thematic area, what work was undertaken, what were the major outcomes, how many people were employed, current status of the beneficiaries. By beneficiaries, we mean the people who you employed, not the people who the project reached out to, right? So for example, in this one, here we've got a play called Silent Cries. So that's the name of the project. That's when it happened. It was happening in the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape at the National Arts Festival. It was about xenophobia. That's the thematic area. What was it? It was a play that was created and performed in numerous communities dealing with xenophobia, and there were also workshops that were run over the period. 10 people were employed in the play. It reached about 1,000 audience members. What's the current status of the beneficiaries? These beneficiaries are again unemployed. Okay, so however, we believe that the play had a strong positive influence on audiences who saw it, who internalized the message about xenophobia, etc. So that's the kind of information that you need to give us in the project part. And so if you can show that you've got a track record with people and that you would be able to quickly re-employ people who you've employed before, but who have now, because you haven't had the funds or you haven't had the means, been able to employ them recently, that's a real positive thing for CEF. So they're really looking for those organizations, and I know there are a lot here, where the organization has been doing some work. Maybe the people have been paid a little bit, or maybe they haven't been paid at all. They've all been volunteering, or maybe they were paid for a time because they got some funding and then the project funding ran out. But there is some sort of a history, and ideally the projects that you put into that section should be the kinds of projects that you are wanting to actually do under this consortium banner. In other words, if we go back to the beginning, those 3 threads of after-school programming or in-school programming or performances for children and young people, right? So it needs to be kind of linked to one of those areas. If there's something that you do that you feel doesn't really fit into those threads, but it is about arts for children and young people, and you want to talk to us about it, please feel free to do that. We can see if we can include it. You know, I don't want to say a blanket no, but those are the 3 common things that we've been seeing across, you know, all the applications. And then the other thing that we're going to need to know from you is we're going to need to know how are you constituted? So there's some important things about, and we will send you a request for that. So, you know, how are you constituted? Are you an NGO? Are you a voluntary organization? Are you not a formal organization, but you have a name? Are you a company, but you do some not-for-profit work? Obviously, this work is for social good, so it has to be not-for-profit, right? But that isn't to say that you can't be a company who does some not-for-profit work. That's possible. So how are you constituted? How long have you been in existence for? Do you have financial records? So in other words, you know, do you have annual financial statements? And if so, for how many years? Are you tax compliant? So there are a couple about 5 or 6 questions around the way you're constituted, which we need to know. And then we'll know whether we can slot you into maybe a lead organization, because there's some provinces where we don't have a lead organization at all, or just one of the member organizations, or whether, like Lorraine's been saying about these organizations that she's going to identify, maybe there are organizations that need to actually come under ASSITEJ. So in other words, ASSITEJ will almost administer their work in terms of this project. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so great. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I hope this has answered your questions. If you have any further questions, please let me know. Please also feel free to engage on email. If we don't have your email, I see some people are putting their emails into the chat. Please do that, because obviously we need to get back to you. So please make sure that we've got a contact for you. I know some people were invited here by other people who are within the consortium, and we may not have your contact details. So make sure that you don't leave this meeting without leaving us your contact details. And we then, in terms of the information, we'll be sending out forms for you to fill in, and the request for this information tomorrow, probably. and we would need it by the end of next week. And then we probably have about another week in which we can work on your compliance. So, you know, make sure that you remember and make sure that you are registered in Theatre for Youth, etc., and get any other documentation from you that we need. But we're really looking at by kind of, just sorry, see what that date is. I don't have it in front of me. So by the end of the second week of March, which is the 11th of March, we need to have all our ducks in a row. We need to know, you know, where our numbers are coming from, who's actually part of the project now, and we need to be absolutely final in terms of that. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And I really hope that we are going to be able to work together. And I really hope that we're going to be able to support your organizations to do more incredible work, because I know what passionate and inspiring people you all are. So if we can help you make a difference to the lives of children, that will make us very, very happy indeed. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Yvette. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Yvette. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So much information. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Yvette. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you guys soon.